Well, President of the Nigerian Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Senator Seriake Dickson were on Thursday locked up in a heated argument over the provision of Senate's rules in the handling of debates on the state of emergency in Rivers State. As the Senate convened for plenary, Leader Michael Bamidele Okpeyemi moved a motion for the order paper to be reordered to enable the Senate to handle the debate on the state of emergency before any other motion itemized for legislative action. As Bamidele stood to point out the relevant order, Seriake Dickson, representing Bayelsa Central Senatorial District and former governor of Bayelsa State, raised the point of order to which Akpabio was hesitant to oblige. The angry Akpabio reminded Seriake Dickson in a witty manner how he watched him on television saying he would not go the way of the Senate on the state of emergency in Rivers, even as Dickson insisted on getting the Senate's president's attention through a point of order. Well, these are conversations. So Akpabio said, Senator Seriake Dickson, let's not argue. If we argue, it won't be good for any of us. We are all distinguished people. You were a former governor. I was a former governor. Please turn off your mic and sit down. Well, I watched you on television. You said whatever the Senate does, the Senate will never go with you. I said you said whatever the Senate does, the Senate will never have your vote. I don't know, but if you have already made up your mind to go on television when the Senate has not done anything or considered any issue, I'm not arguing with you, but I say, please allow me to preside. Replying to the Senate's President, Seriake Dickson said, Mr. Senate President, you know we must have mutual respect for all our colleagues, and I do have regard for you, particularly as our presiding officer, and I think that should be reciprocal. Dickson said the point of order he raised was to draw the attention of senators to the provision of on the need to first break into a closed-door meeting. The motion to close the door was immediately raised by the Senate leader and seconded by the minority leader. Well, Senator Abamoro and the Senate went into a closed-door session. Well, I'll begin with you, Dr. Harry. With all of this, we've been debating about this state of emergency issue, and now this is also happening in the National Assembly between the Senate President as well as Seriake. Now, they're arguing that the President would have consulted the National Assembly first before, declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State, while everybody were trying to vote probably for the order to take place in Rivers State. Well, Seriake was trying to make his own points, but the Senate President there could not listen to him based on the fact that he has been on national television. He has also made his opinion known on TV. So I would like to get your reaction to that.
You see, the issue of state of emergency imposed on Rivers State is a very serious matter. And I want to also believe that every right-thinking Nigerian who wants to, want to participate in talking about this. I think that was what was about to go on in the floor of the National Assembly, especially at the Senate.
Yeah, before the
Now, when you look at the issue between Akpabio and Seriake Dickson, you look at it that Akpabio should know that he is the presiding officer of the Senate. There are things I have so much respect for him, and he should also know that his position is highly placed above, and he's not just that. He's the number 3 citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There are things he shouldn't go into debation. You understand? Debating on it, so that everybody will know that you are the one that is there. It's for me. Now, is it not what the order that Senator Seriake Dickson was about to raise, where the thing that the Senate leader and the majority leader later moved a motion that was seconded and then resulting to a closed door meeting? You see, sometimes I am not saying that there shouldn't be a control, over the affairs of what is happening. After all, they have a standing order. You understand?
Okay.
That is guiding the rules and all of that. But sometimes you can listen to your fellow. The only right you have over every other senator is that you are the presiding officer. But aside from that, you represent a constituency at that level. You can hear from him. And if all that the person is saying, you have the right as a presiding officer to, to make him understand, look, in this area, you shouldn't have said this and that, than to start on a debate. You don't even allow him to say what he had in mind.
All right.
So on that, however, when he finally listened to him. What the order he raised were the thing the Senate leader Bamidele Opeyemi and the Senate Minority Leader Senator Abamoro, consented to, which at the end of the day they saw the need and they resulted into a closed door meeting, which they finally resolved on, backing the Mr. President's decision on state of emergency here in the River State.
All right, Dr. Eunice, this is for you. How significant is the procedural dispute over closed-door session in shaping the Senate's response to the River State emergency? We've seen that display today. How do you feel about that display?
Well, you remember Seriake Dickson was saying he was trying to call the Senate President to order, that they needed to have a closed-door meeting first.
Yes.
That is what is laid down. That's their activity. That is their normal routine. So whatever is a normal routine, who am I to start saying why did they go to a closed-door meeting? If that's what they normally do, then that's it. You understand? And his own reaction towards Seriake Dickson was that, from the news, he said he didn't see, because he has, I think the Senator Dickson said something over the media before this.
Yes, he said something.
You understand? Yes. And I'm sure that would have been what would have made the Senate President behave that way. It's not as if he's naturally like that. You understand? Because if for every action there must be a reaction. So something had transpired. That was why he was trying to say no. You understand? By the end of the day, we thank God that he now, saw the need to listen, and they went in for their normal activities. That's the normal activity. So I don't think there's anything fishy about that.
All right. So could Akpabio's reference to Dickson's statement on TV indicate a broader issue of the senator's public posturing affecting legislative in Nigeria?
Come again.
All right. So what I'm asking is, could Akpabio's reference, to Dickson's statement on TV indicate a broader issue of senators' public posturing affecting legislative in Nigeria, or the legislative unity in Nigeria?
I don't see the legislature as being disunited. Right. I don't see them as that. But when it comes to some issues, we are all human. Sometimes, maybe out of, emotions and sentiments, we may go off the, lane sometimes. You understand? Which you can also be called to order. So it's not an indication that there's any form of problem in our governance. No, I don't see it as that.
Well, do you also see that as an indication of trying to silence probably people who are supposed to vote for the proclamation of the state of emergency in River State?
No, let me say that when Senator Seriake Dickson appeared on TV, he wasn't appeared, representing the Senate.
Okay.
He was saying something on what he knows as it concerns whatever topic that he was talking about. But be it as it may, for the president to reflect that in their discussion wasn't, for me, it was something that is not called for. Whether you heard him saying something, for God's sake, that was on a personal note. It has nothing to do with the National Assembly. Now that the senator in question, that is Senator Seriake,
yeah.
You understand, wanted to, call the president to order, that is their standing rule. I said that before. It's their standing rule. The Senate president should have listened to him and not, trying to reflect on what he had watched him saying on a television show, whatever. But be it as it may, thank God at the end of the day they were able to resolve whatever differences. And that is what made even the House more interesting, because without these issues, it's like everything only go, one-sided.
Okay.
But if you listen to all this debate, and that's why each time I watch the American Congress, I so much in love with it, because their debate is also very heated. But at the end of the day, how they will resolve that matter will interest you. So for me, as a Senate who is saddled with making of laws for the good governance of this country, at every point in time they have opportunity to meet for any discussion, please the rule of law should be their watchword, so that whatever they will do will be that which will be respected and supported by the Constitution.
Now again, the question is, how might this incident influence the perception of the Senate's ability to handle national crisis effectively or impartially?
Well, they are one of the arms of government,
okay,
saddled with the responsibility of lawmaking and an oversight function. Now, looking at what they have done so far, remember when the president made that declaration, he transmitted the same to the National Assembly for them, to make it legal, and they have done that. Then coming to the matter at hand, for me, biasness should not be seen in the discharge of their duty as it regards this problem currently. They should put national cohesion first. That is expected of them, because when the eyes is affected, the same thing affects the nose, the mouth, and everything. River State is one of the units in Nigeria. And so if anything affected River State, I want to believe it's also affected every other part of this country. So the Senate has a role to play, and that role they have already taken a step. Furthermore, they should ensure that the parties concerned in this matter, are called to order, and see also whether they have a way of making them understand, look, Nigeria is not just an anarchist state. Things has to be done in order to reflect what when we talked about constitutionalization, which is the order of the day.
All right.
So for me, they should do the needful, but not to take side on this matter.
All right.